So let's create another scene. Let's go scenes, create, scene, and we'll call this sprite creator. So I like to use Unity for this, but we will use Blender, just so you know how. The reason I prefer to use Unity is so that my icons look exactly the way they do in the game. So it's like these coins won't have a Blender shader in Eevee or Cycles renderer. They will look the way they look in Unity, and that's the only reason I prefer to make sprites in Unity. So it's really easy. We'll just save this scene. We'll open this one up, so it's going to be totally empty, right? I'm going to create a cube, I suppose. Now we're just going to make a little platform. Okay, I'm going to duplicate this, rotate it on 90 on the X, move it back. Yeah, maybe we don't want the shadow to be casting on our object. Let's do this. Okay, so you're just making kind of a little display for your icon. Now we don't want this to be white. We want to actually create a material called Fanta Black. And that is a black that takes in no light and no shadow. It's just black. So we'll say Fanta Black here. Here you can change the actual shader type. So we're going to do this a few times from here on out, but right now we just want to go to Unlit, Color. Okay, so this is just going to be a solid color. It's not going to care about any lights, nothing like that. So we just drag these on, right? And our light has absolutely no influence on what that's going to look like. It's just Fanta Black, jet black. So we can take we can use our light on our sprite or our object. So let's take our gold coin first. Just crank the size up. I want to take my main camera and drop it in there, reset the transform, bring it up. Okay, and then we can place our camera however we want to take that sprite. So if I go to my game view, here we go. So basically I just want the black around it as a square, and in GIMP we can erase this black very quickly. I'll show you how to do that. So I think that'll work for me. Maybe I want this slightly turned. Maybe I prefer it that way. Maybe more. Okay. Let's move this over. We could change our camera to orthographic and see how that looks. It's not something I do very often, but for sprites you can try. You know what I mean? I think perspective is fine for me. Yeah. All right, so I want that to be a little bit shinier. Let's just increase the intensity of the directional light. Okay. Let's change its direction. Okay, maybe there, and we turn the intensity down. There we go. I think that'll work out nice. It's a game. Okay, so you can hit Shift and Space together. Shift first, either in your scene view or your game view, and it will maximize the screen. And you do the same thing to unmaximize. Right, so it's not actually playing or anything, but you can maximize the screen just that way. So let's say, actually, sorry, the way I do this is by taking a screenshot. So you can do it on Mac. I believe it's Control. What is it? Shift Command 3. You press all those together on Mac and it'll take a screenshot. On Windows, of course, you just use your snipping tool. As long as you have I think it's Windows 8 and beyond, or Windows 10 and beyond. Snipping tool. And just basically create a little square out of that. Just make sure you're kind of around the same distance from the top and bottom. You can fix all this in GIMP if you're not perfect. No problem at all. And this is all going to be transparent, so it really doesn't matter. We go File, Save As, save it to my desktop. Just save this as gold icon. Okay. So the same thing with our silver. Now what we could actually do is just take our materials. Whoops, it's not the scene view, and just do that. That's what I'll do. I'll change the size of the icons on my game screen. Silver coin icon, and we'll do the same thing. We'll just change the material to our copper. Okay, let's open those up. With GIMP. You can also just go to GIMP, go File, Open, and open this image. Alright, so I just want to go to this tool right here. Select by color. Okay, so here we can just click and drag, and you can see it starting to select more and more black. Right, so I don't want anything inside. Just try clicking without dragging, and that'll just give you basically based on your threshold right here, the color that you choose. So if you drag, it will basically start selecting more or less of that particular color. You can see it starting to kind of bleed in there. So I'm just going to click and see what that gives me. I'm going to go Edit and Clear. So if you use Snipping Tool, you do have an alpha channel, but if you didn't, you might not. So just go Layer, Transparency, Add Alpha Channel. If this is white, it means you need to add the alpha channel. Okay, so right here I'm going to go Select, None. And if you have post-processing effects, when you do this, what you want to do is take your eraser, because bloom and ambient occlusion will change the blackness around your object. You want to take the eraser, size up a little bit, full hardness, stuff like that, yeah, and just go around the edge. Just make sure you don't have any like weird faded blackness, because if you have a vignette, that will also change the tone of the black around there. Okay. I'm going to export that. I'm going to straight up overwrite it. That's okay. And file open. So let's get the silver and the copper. You want to make sure you click Select None before you do the erase, just so that it doesn't prevent you from erasing any other tones. Okay, remember this is Select by Color. Just get anything that might be there. Great. Let's go to Unity, bring those in. So we can come down to our textures. We can make a new folder. Well, actually, let's go to our assets, create folder, and we'll call this UI Sprites. So we know everything in here is a sprite texture. So we'll change these to be sprites. We'll select them all. We can go default, and just as we can create a normal map here, we can click Sprite 2D and UI. So this will take away the black, as we've done, and give it the transparent background just like that, and basically create a sprite out of it. So we can place that in our 3D world as an icon as well if we wanted to in 3D space. But they will work perfectly on our UI. So that's good here. Maybe we'll make another icon in a little bit, but I want to show you how to use Blender first. Let's go to Scenes and back to our sample scene. Leaving that name as sample scene is okay. I usually keep this as like a test scene to test new mechanics and stuff, and I'll create a different one for my my actual level. Alright, so we'll go 2D, go down to our canvas, double click this. Okay, so we want to just change these icons to be those. So we'll change it back to white. There we go. UI sprites, this will be our gold. Okay, and we can change the size of this. So it's a little bit wider than it is. Yeah, 970. So we'll do 45 width, 40 height, sure. Same thing here, 45 width, 45, and copper. Let's increase the size of this one a little bit. So let's go 1.2. And on this one we'll do 1.5. There we go. That should work out. So we'll change the size of our actual coins as well. Cool. Looking nicer. So you can add the, you can increase the resolution of these by going down here to pixels per unit. So we can say 200. Apply. That should just give it a little bit higher resolution. Maybe we'll say 400. We don't have a lot on our UI screen, so we could go a little bit higher. All right, so to do one in Blender, it's really easy. So let's just let's actually create a little heart icon for ourselves, or a heart pickup object as well. So I'm just going to create it from this cube really quick, something like that. Not really sure. Just going to set up a subsurf modifier and see how we do. Okay, just pull some points until you're happy. Alright, I'll go with that. Let's shade it smooth. Cool. So we want to actually create an object out of this, so let's actually bring it up and make sure it's all good in that sense. Just bring it down maybe there. All transforms. Control A. Okay. So let's go to rendered view. Okay, so we want to actually, to create the sprite, we want to actually place our light where we want it. So maybe I want it right there. Yeah. So let's give this a material. It's got the default material. It's good. Let's just make it red. I think that'll be good. So for the icon, I'm going to duplicate this, hide the first one, rename this icon, and I'll crank up the resolution on this one. Yeah, so it looks a lot nicer. Okay, so next we can just actually delete this camera. That is the best thing to do. Go Shift A, add a camera while you're in the front view of your viewport camera. Then you can just slide it along axes. It's directly looking at it there once you move it back a little. So if you hit 0, it'll go to your camera setup. So we can change our resolution here. Let's do 1080 by 1080. And then we'll shrink it. Let's go 512 by 512. Okay, so we'll make a small icon. Gonna hit 0. Maybe we want this to be orthographic. Right? Then we can change our orthographic scale, whoops, to zoom in. Like so. I think that'll do it for me. Okay, so you just need to make that transparent right away. Just come down to your rendering settings here. If you're in the Eevee rendering engine, drop film, and it's right here. Click transparent there. I'm going to give you this checkered display as well. So in cycles, film, same thing, transparent right there. So I'm just going to use Eevee. Transparent, and we'll go File, render image. Okay, and that's what we get. So we're actually getting the both of them, right? So we want to come here, and here's all your little toggles. So this camera icon is for render. So this one that's hidden, I don't want to render that. So I just click this button and it won't render. So I go render image now, and we don't get those weird lines around showing that the other object was there. So just make sure you go image, save as. I'm going to save this to my desktop. Don't compress, 16 color. And I'm just going to call this heart health PNG. Great. Okay, so that's how you do that in Blender. I think what else I want to do is have sort of an outline for it. Yeah, let's do that. So we can try this. Try just insetting these faces. X faces. What happened there? Ah, we missed one. Try insetting these faces. X faces. Okay. So I just want a black outline for this. There's a million ways you can do it. This is how I'm going to do this right here. Alright, so go render image, save as, heart health, outline. I'll show you other ways you can do outlines in Unity, but this is just the way I'm going to do this here. Great. Hide that, bring this one back. Okay, we want this to be that red. Okay, let's just export this guy just the way he is. So 224 triangles is just fine. It's going to drop. Player's going to be able to see it. Maybe we'll have a little particle system coming off of this. And as well when we pick it up. So that's good. So let's just go File, Export. You can save this if you want. I'm just going to export this thing here. Export. Go right to my desktop. Why not? Selected objects. Heart. Model. Alright. Good. I could save it. So let's go to back to Unity, our desktop, and let's take these icons we've created. Heart health outline. Okay, let's bring those in. Give these Sprite 2D and UI, apply. So maybe this is a little bit dull. We'll see what we can do with that. Probably add a little bit of an emission or something. Or I probably will actually go in and create a new one in Unity as well. But the black will be just fine. What else do we need? We need that model, so let's bring in our heart model. Good.